Okay, can we start?
Yes, sir.
So we will start with Karl Marx. Okay. So any doubts from any discussion? Can you turn off your mic? Somebody's mic is on. Okay. So we will discuss about Marx. Okay. So when we discuss about Marx, Marx is talking everything from the point of view of production. Okay. So production is very important for Marx. Everything he is trying to understand in terms of production. So for Marx, production of material life is the first historical act which would have ever happened in the history. So actually the first act which would have happened in the history is production. And what Marx says is, in order to survive, if you need to survive, you need to produce. So production is essential, production is required, production is very important for the survival of human being. So production acquires very importance in Marxian understanding. Okay, now after knowing that, he says nature imposed certain restrictions always, but man always capable of overcoming these restrictions through production. Okay, so nature and man are always in conflict with each other. Nature imposed restrictions. It could be in terms of natural calamities or anything. Nature always impose restriction, but men are always capable of overcoming this restriction. So till now what I said is related to production. Production is considered essential. Production is considered very important. Production would have been the first historical act. In order to survive, man must produce. So all these are the understanding related to production. Now, if you need to undertake production, you have to enter. Yes.
Sir, one doubt, please.
Yes.
Sir, when we say production, what kind of production is it?
Anything, any kind of production, even what we are doing now, this is also understood as production by Marx.
Sir,
Okay.
it means hunting, gathering is also under production.
Everything. Production of material life. Anything is considered as production. Even this class is also understood by Marx in production terms. And the relation between the students and the teacher is understood as a productive relation. Everything in economic terms. So this is what considered as production. And production is essential for the survival. Production is the first historical act, and production is necessary. Anything is
Thank you.
production. Okay. Now, to undertake production, Marx is talking about certain condition that you have to enter into relation. Okay, you have to enter into relation with others to undertake production. So first important aspect is relation. Okay, and at the same time, you also need certain tools, techniques, etc. to undertake production. That is what Marx terms as forces. So to undertake production, Asif, can you turn off your mic?
Okay, sir. Sorry.
So to undertake production, you have two conditions which has to be satisfied. That is, you need relation, you need to enter into relation with others. Alone you cannot produce, it will be difficult. So you need relations, and you also need some tools, techniques, etc. to undertake production. So that is what Marx says as forces. Okay, so production requires two aspects. What Marx says as relations of production, I am writing it shortly, ROP. Okay, here onwards we will see this relations of production, and then forces of production, FOP. So have you understood what you mean by forces of production and relation of production? Very important two words when it comes to the discussion of Marx. If you need to understand Marx, this is the two key words that you're going to see from here onwards across all the theories of Marx. Relations of production, forces of production. For example, if you consider this class as a production process, the relation between you and me, it's a kind of relations of production. If you need to undertake this process, you need to enter into relation. If you need to study sociology, you have to enter into a relation, right? So relation of production. Forces of production means the tools, techniques, etc. The phones, the iPad, the computer, the laptop, and everything that we are using, that is a tools and techniques to undertake production. That is what force is. And in the modern industrialized society, when you talk about the workers, when you talk about the machines, etc., all these are forces of production. Okay, the relations like workers, capitalist, all these are relations of production. So you have to enter into relation. Alone you cannot produce, you need workers. Okay, you need all these things. That is relations, and then forces also. Are we okay with this much? Relations of production and forces of production?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's take one by one. So I'm spending some time here. I'm going slow because thinkers will go slow. Okay. So relations of production will be understood in two dimensions. That is relation between man and man. Okay. Between man and man. This is the living relation. Both are here living relation, right? So man, like capitalist and worker. This is between man and man. So this is what Marx says living relation. It can be relation between man and a thing. Okay, man and things. Like my relation with this iPad pencil or the iPad. This is a relation between man and thing, right? Or the capitalist, his relation with the machines or the factory. This is a relation between man and things. So two types of relations that what Marx discussed is relation between man and man. So relations of production, two types: relation between man and relation between man and things. Man and man is the living, both are living part. For example, capitalist and worker. So this is a relation between man and man. Like seniors, superiors, all these relations are relation between man and man. Relation between man and thing, for example, capitalist and the factory, or the capitalist and the machines. So this is a kind of ownership relation.
The capitalist and capital is also a man and thing relation, or
Man and thing relation. Because one is living, the other is non-living. Or you can say living and non-living. This one living and non-living. Okay. So here the relation is understood in terms of, ownership. So you can say things means technology, things means everything which is helping in undertaking production. It is not only technology, it can be, other physical things also. So everything, whether the tools, okay, even the knife is also considered as this man and thing. So the factory, capitalist and factory. So here it is understood in terms of ownership. So capitalist is having an ownership relation with this worker. Yeah, one is living and the other is non-living. So capitalist is living, the other, like the factory, machines, etc. are non-living. So capitalist is having ownership relation, worker is having non-ownership relation with the factory. Okay, so it has to be understood in terms of ownership. Like when we discuss here this pencil, that iPad pencil that I'm using to write. Okay, I have an ownership relation with this. This relation is between man and thing. So I have an ownership relation when I consider this iPad pencil, and you also have a relation between man. You can say this is between you and this pen also have a relation, but it is non-ownership. You don't have the ownership. Okay. So in the production process, there is a relation between man and things. So if you consider this class as a production process, in Marxian terms, this is a production process. Obviously, it is a production process, otherwise also. So here, this relation is actually a relation between man, between you and me, okay, and between all others. And man and thing means the tools that I'm using and me, right? I have an ownership relation, you have a non-ownership relation. But this is essentially part of the production process. So are we done with this? Man and things. Like typically in a capitalist society, if you talk about capitalist and the worker, this is what we need to understand as man and man. Like you can see the words that we are using: managers, clerk, okay, all these are man. And man and thing means the machinery, the factory, and the capitalist and the worker. Capitalist and the machineries or the factory having ownership relation, whereas the worker and the machinery is having non-ownership relation. So man and thing could be understood in terms of ownership and non-ownership. Okay?
Sir, what is mode of production?
I will discuss that.
Okay.
So this is about forces of production, relations of production. Now we need to discuss about,
Sir,
yes,
worker is also a force of production.
which one?
Worker.
Worker is also forces of production. I will discuss that. I'm going to discuss about forces of production. Now we have done with relations. So relations is what we have done. ROP we have done. Okay, two types, living, that is,
Worker, he can be a man. At the same time, he can be a force of production.
yeah, he's forces of production means tools, techniques, etc. Worker is also part of, even the capitalist also part of force of production. I'll come to that. Force of production I have not yet discussed. I'm coming to that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so relation of production means man and man, living part. And then it also involves living and non-living. So here I have discussed capitalist and the factory, or the worker and the factory. So if you talk about capitalist and the factory, this is ownership. Okay, and the worker and the factory, if you talk about non-ownership. So this is what relations of production, relation between man and man, relation between man and thing. One is living, the other is living and non-living. Now we will discuss about forces of production. Okay, so forces of production, I will just write FOP because here onwards we will be using this forces of production, FOP. It also includes two aspects. One is man, the other is things. Okay, so forces of production means here man means the effort of the human beings ultimately result into production, right? So we will include the workers also as forces of production, like we say labor force, right? Working force, labor force, they are also part of forces of production because their efforts will result into the production. So forces of production here, man, that is the living part. In forces of production also living part is there. Okay, like labor force, when we say this is forces of production but living part of forces of production. Then what I have told you is tools and techniques etc. which is required, that is what things, the tools, techniques etc. This is the non-living part of forces of production. This non-living part of forces of production is what Marx also terms as means of production. Okay, so when we talk about means of production, it is that part of forces of production which is non-living. It is the non-living part of forces of production, that is the things, the tools, techniques etc. or the machines, that is what means of production. For example, this iPad that I'm using, or the camera that I'm using, the pencil that I'm using, all these are part of what? All these are part of forces of production. At the same time, specifically I can say these are the means of production. Okay, so this is a non-living part of the forces of production. But at the same time, the capitalist, both capitalist, the worker can be considered as also part of force of production because their effort will result into production, and that is the living part of forces of production, like labor force, working force. Entrepreneurs are also part of forces of production. Okay, so we have discussed about forces of production, man and things, living, non-living. ROP, we have discussed what kind of relation it is. What kind of relation it is? Between man and man relation is there, between man and thing relation is there, between man and between man and thing. Okay, this is living, as both are a living part, then living and non-living. This is related to ownership. Okay, so this is what forces of production, relation of production. Agila, now tell me.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, FOP, forces of production, basically means means of production.
Yes. The part of, technically FOP includes the workers also. When we talk about means of production, only the things, only the non-living part will come under means of production. Okay?
I have no doubt, sir.
You got it clear, no?
I got it.
Yeah, because I haven't explained this part, no, that's why you had that confusion before.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, yeah, tell me, Kajal.
What is the difference between FOP and ROP?
FOP means the
I
full.
think
Uh,
means both have man and things.
Yes.
So what is it?
Here we are talking about relations. Without relations, you cannot undertake production. You have to first enter into relations. In FOP, we are talking about the tools, etc., which is what is required for production. Right? We need worker. Okay, so worker is part of this part. Worker is part of this. We need capitalist. Okay, that is also part of this. We need, let's say, machines.
Okay.
That is part of this. But here we are talking about the relation between worker and capitalist. This worker and capitalist have to enter into a relation, then only you can undertake production, no?
Okay.
That part is what we have discussed here. You have to see, there is a worker, there is a capitalist, but they are staying separately, they are not entering into relation, then the production won't happen. Okay, see here one more time I'll tell you. In FOP, let's say worker is the part of FOP, capitalist is also part of FOP, and the machines are also part of FOP. So this is what the living part, okay, and this is the non-living part. Okay, so these things are there. Okay, in the society the capitalist is there, worker is there, machines will be there, but will that essentially result into a process of production? No. For that, these two have to enter into a relation, right?
Okay.
So that is what actually happening, the relations of production. It could be man and man, for example, capitalist and worker. So they have entered into relation. Then you need this also. You need to have a connection between machines also. So that is what man and thing. And this is ownership relation. Okay.
Okay.
So to undertake production, two things are required. One is relation, the other is forces. This forces include labor force, the forces includes the machines and everything. Relations include man and man relation, the man and thing relation. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, as we have mentioned, as we have regarded man and thing relation as on the basis of ownership, then how do we term man and man relation in relation of production?
No, I didn't get you.
Sir, we have defined man and technology, a man and thing relation as ownership, based on ownership.
Yes.
This and man relation are based on what, sir?
No, man and man relation, they just enter into a relation like a contract that is between you and me. There is a contract, right? We enter into a relation.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and man and thing means I have, without this pen I cannot teach, right? If I need to write, I need to have this pen. And I have an ownership, and it has to be specified clearly, right? I have an ownership with this pen, you don't have any ownership with the pen. It has to be
Right,
specified. Okay. So, are we okay with this much? This is the most important part. Yes, tell me, Sukriti.
So I wanted to ask one thing. Since we have, you've mentioned that man-to-man relationship is a very generic relationship, but sometimes when we see
1 minute, 1 minute. Saran, can you turn off your mic? Okay. Yeah, tell me, Sukriti.
Yes, sir. So you've mentioned that man-to-man relationship is a very generic form of relationship that you have understood in ROP. But can there be also a ownership between a man and man relationship, let's say master and servant?
Yes. That we will discuss. We will discuss under modes of production. That is coming. Okay.
Okay. Just one more question, sir. Since we have understood one more set of relationship, that is man to things. So can there be also a thing and thing relationship where two machines work together to produce something?
No. Marx is not talking about such kind of relations.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So this much is okay. FOP and ROP, these are the keywords that you need to know. Once we know this, then we can move forward with marks. There is no problem. Okay. So now what Marx says is, yeah. So now we will, okay. Now what Marx says is, if the forces of production change, okay, if the forces of production change, there will be a change in relations of production also automatically. This will happen essentially, and this will happen automatically. There is a close linkage between forces of production and relation of production. Now forces of production change when? Over a period of time, the technology changes, right? The tools, techniques, etc. that keeps on changing. The tools, techniques, etc. that is used to undertake production, that keeps on changing. That's what we mean by forces of production changing. So when the force is changing, there should be a change in relations, and vice versa, according to Marx. I will explain further. For example, let's suppose person A, this is a piece of land that person A have, okay, and he is a farmer, so he used to undertake cultivation here, and so to undertake cultivation, so he have to till the land, so he depend on a person B, okay, so A and B have a relation. Okay, so A and B enter into a relation so that A will cultivate with the help of B, B will help in tilling the land, but using bullocks or the traditional method. B is using traditional method. So there was a long-term relation between A and B. Now what happened is, the forces of production changed. That means the tools, techniques changed. So there is another person who is with the tractor. Okay, so tractor emerged, so forces of production changed. So C is having a tractor. So what I'm saying is, A and B were in relation to undertake this production process, but now logically if A look into, A will depend on whom? Not B. A will shift to C, right? So A will shift to C and A will enter into a relation with C for the tilling of the land, so that you can do it efficiently, you can do it with less time, so that you can enhance the productivity, and all these advantages will be there. So this is what I mean to say, or Marx says, if there is a change in forces of production, okay, there will be a change in relations of production also. So when the forces of production advanced, okay, there will be a changes in relations of production, which is very much possible. Is that okay? Are we done with this concept?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, change always comes from forces of production, or is it vice versa?
Vice versa is also possible. Vice versa is also possible. For example, there was a teacher X, okay, and there was another teacher Y. For example, you can talk about me, okay, and you want to study with me. So I cannot come to Delhi and I cannot teach you, as I'm in Trivandrum. So I have to find tools and techniques. So relations are changing automatically. So you are ready to study with me. So I have to find that tools and techniques which is actually going to help me. So forces of production will also work out here in that context.
Good. Thank you, sir. Thank
So that is why I have told vice versa. The forces of production change, relations will change. Similarly, vice versa is also possible. When the relations are changing, I have to identify the new forces of production. For example, I have to find new Wi-Fi. So all the setups are now getting ready. Like that, I have to do that. So this is connected.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, can we give example here from paper 2, like the change in Jajmani system and all?
Jajmani system?
Like earlier there was relationship between Kamins and...
Jajmani relation. Jajmani relation.
But now due to like in agriculture, due to advent of machinery, so that relationship is breaking. Can we quote such examples here in paper 1 also?
No, here in paper 1 you don't want to write Jajmani relations. Those things are specific to India, not not to be written in this context.
Because someone earlier was telling that we should cross refer from paper 1 and...
Yeah, we can write, but these are some specific cases. Like Jajmani relation has broken not only because of machineries and all. Essential modernization was there. The caste has lost its relevance. It is because of reservations also. There are many other reasons why this Jajmani relations have broken. And most of you actually don't know about that, but we will discuss that in paper 2. You don't want to worry about that. But in this context, I'm saying it is not only because of this machineries and all. You can say obviously there was change in things, and because of that relations have broken, judgment relations have broken, but not only because of this. It was actually aided with a lot of different other process also. Okay, but still, if you wish to, you can write that, but we have better examples here. Even when we discuss about class struggle also, we are talking about the same thing. The actual reason for class struggle is when the forces of production change, relations will change. Like from A to B, now A to C is gone, right? So there will be a conflict between these two. So there also I will discuss a lot of examples. So from in paper 1, it is always better to write a general example which is applicable across, not specific. Okay. If no such examples are there, then we can go with specific examples, what we know.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So what we understood is there is a forces of production, there are relations of production, and this is how they are connected. If forces of production change, relations will change, and vice versa. Okay. Now, what Marx says is the FOP and ROP will help in production process, and initially this too is essential, but when the production acquires a complex form, that means when it gets developed, it also requires some other aspects. Okay, some other elements are also required. For example, he's talking about education, he's talking about family, he's talking about religion, he's talking about other governments, he's talking about culture. So many other elements are also required to undertake production. So what Marx says is when the production acquires a complex form, it is made possible also due to various other aspects. Okay, and this is what Marx terms as social superstructure. Social superstructure, or these are called as superstructural elements, and this is what Marx terms as economic infrastructure. Okay, so Marx is talking about economic infrastructure and social superstructure, and these two together, economic infrastructure and social superstructure together, is what the social formation or society according to Marx. So this forms the society, or Marx also used the word social formation, or Marx also says mode of production. Okay, so all these are the same meaning. Society is explained in terms of social formation, mode of production. Okay, Divya, so what I'm saying is we started off with production. To undertake production, we talked about forces of production and relation of production. But what Marx says is, in the beginning, that's fine. But when the production acquires a complex form, it also requires so many other aspects. And that is actually made possible with so many other aspects. For example, education is required, right? Education is one such element. It produces the labor. Family is required. Family is sending the labor force. Okay, religion is required. I'll tell you how Marx is interpreting all these things. Government, the constitution is the document of bourgeois, the parliament is the executive committee of bourgeois. So we will see all this interpretations also. So if you need to when the production is enhanced, all these support is also required according to Marx. So this is what society, this is what you mean by social formation, and Marx used the word mode of production to explain society, and you need to study the theory of mode of production. That is what we are going to discuss now. So this much is okay. What is the conception of society? This is a question. What is the Marxian conception of society?
Sir, Marx has differentiated forces of production and relation of production as economic infrastructure, and the other thing that are required as social superstructure.
Yes.
How do we differentiate between the economic infrastructure and social superstructure? Can't we say that government is also that is required in production? Why don't we include it in economic infrastructure only and just make it as a relation of production?
No, it is not relation of production. It is part of superstructure which helps in production. Relation of production is also coming here. The types of relations, the types of forces, etc. For example, when we talk about, this is a system. Economic infrastructure means this is actually the system.
How do we differentiate between the things in the relation of that is in the economic infrastructure and the thing that is included in the social superstructure.
Yeah, I'm saying that when I'm discussing about the theory of mode of production, it will be reflected. But still, I tell you, I will make it clear now. This is a central part. This is the core, okay, and this is more important. And these are peripheral elements. These are supportive mechanisms. So for Marx, the core is FOP and ROP. For example, when we talk about a system, capitalist system, okay, so this is the core, and based on that only, the government is decided. Okay, if the system, to support the system only, even the government is also decided, and the religious values, the family values. Why nuclear family emerged? To support capitalist system. Why family itself was emerged? Because of private property. Okay, education. Why education? To promote to give the labors to the capitalist system. So everything I'm including in the superstructure because it is support. Okay, one diagram. In one diagram, I'll show you this. So what Marx says is, this is economic infrastructure. So the economic infrastructure, that is a core, I've told you, or this is a system, okay, and which involves FOP and ROP. This shapes means creates the social superstructure. Social superstructure. So social superstructure includes everything, the way you think, the values, the ideas, the social institutions, even the marriage, family, religion, okay, your ideas, okay, culture, the government, everything will come here. So it is the economic infrastructure creates the superstructure, which in turn will help in the functioning of the economic infrastructure. That means if you talk about capitalist society, okay, so for example, economic infrastructure in the capitalist society, it is a capitalist society, the capitalist system. So the capitalist system shapes the government also. For example, the funding during election and everything is done by the capitalist system. Why it is done? Because it will help in the functioning of the capitalist system. So everything which is seen in the society is part of superstructure. All these are created by the capitalist to support the system. Okay, Himanshu.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, are we done this much? All of you? Any doubts? Asif?
So we can say that mode of production is equal to social superstructure plus economic infrastructure.
Yes, exactly. Mode of production means society. Society means economic infrastructure, superstructure. These are the two elements which are there in, society, any society. These two elements has to be there in society. So for example, religion, you can explain anything in Marxian terms. You just need to know this only. So when we talk about religion, according to Marx, you see this arrow. Religion is shaped by whom? Economic infrastructure. Why? For helping the system. Family, created by whom? The system. Why? To help the system. Education, created by the system. Why? To help the system. Ideas, even the way we think, is also shaped by the system, so that it will help in the functioning of the system. Family providing the labor force. If no family is there, people are not ready to go to work and get exploited. Why you are going to work and getting exploited if you don't have any family? Now, because you are the only breadwinner of your family, so you have to go and you have to get exploited by the capitalist. There is no other option.
So can we say that the mode of production is a very new concept when the complexity in the production took place?
No, how is it new concept?
Because social superstructures the understandability of social superstructure is was not there, because initially in the primitive life only relation of production and forces of production was there. Marx also included social superstructure, which helps in functioning the economic infrastructure. So can we say mode of production is a very new concept?
No. We will see the social superstructure was always present in any society except in the primitive society. So except in the primitive society, social super, that we will see in the theory of mode of production, that is coming anyway. There you will understand how things are evolved. So there we will see, by using an evolutionary perspective, how these things are evolved and everything we will see. Yeah, Vignesh, what I'm saying is this thing, the economic infrastructure, for example, let's talk about capitalism. So that shapes the government also, right? If mostly who's deciding the government? It is the major corporates who's deciding the government, right? Political funding and all these things. So mostly the government is actually decided by the corporates. Okay, that is what according to Marx. It is actually decided by the corporates. So why they are helping the government? Because they are expecting something returned from the government. So when the government comes into power, so this government is actually shaped by whom? The corporates, the MNCs or the corporates. So why they are doing this? When they are funding, when you see, if the party is receiving the fund, obviously you are obliged, there is an obligation. So that obligation has to be shown in terms of some return. So who will be benefiting? So the government will actually ultimately help in the functioning. May be true, may not be true, but it is actually true. And Marx visualized like this. What we are discussing here is Marxian idea.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Tell me, Sunil.
Yes, sir, as you said that government are decided by corporates. So we can say that coronavirus crisis is a capitalist crisis because capitalist government are taking more control in their hand.
No, I didn't get you.
So as you said that government are decided by corporates.
Yes.
Okay. And in recent coronavirus crisis, where the capitalist government are trying to take more control in their hands. So can we say that coronavirus crisis is a capitalist crisis?
No. I didn't get you in which context you are saying this. Capitalist government, what they are trying to do here?
So they are trying to take control more in their hands to take government decisions like that.
No, not necessarily, but generally, see, when we generally talk about all these this companies, the pharma companies, they are propagating their interest, and all these are part of capitalism. We can say that generally pharma companies, and there is an alienation and there is a discrimination with the third world countries. So that things we will understand by using Marxian perspective. That I will be discussing also. But here, this I am not able to connect. What you are saying, maybe I am not able to understand what you are saying. If you can repeat, it will be fine. Maybe, or somebody else who understood it can explain also. Sunil, can you repeat it once more?
I'm not able to understand. He's talking about that corporates are taking control, but I'm not able to understand.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they are trying to take more control.
In what terms?
In terms of making decisions.
He's trying to tell that government is not acting like a democratic, but moreover like a monarchy type.
Okay.
That is leading to coronavirus crisis as a capitalist crisis.
That's what.
Maybe extreme Marxists can interpret like that. So that kind of interpretation we will do later. At this stage, it is not required. Okay.
So if a question comes like that.
No. That kind of things, there is no chance. Like that.
No, sir. Marx says that when the society is declining, the lower strata people will be the more the lower strata people will be the more they are
affected.
Yes.
So in the recent crisis, coronavirus crisis, workers, that migrant workers, they are facing the more problem.
Yes. That we will discuss. That Marxian understanding is there. That I think you are talking about alienation. Are we talking about this one, this concept, alienation?
Sorry, sir, I don't know about alienation concept.
Okay. Marx theory of alienation. There, the lower strata which are excluded basically is explained in terms of alienation. There is a theory that you need to study. If you're talking about that, then we will do in this theory. The lower sections who's most affected or most excluded, discriminated, all these things we'll see there.
If the lower strata is very much affected, how can we connect the alienation with this context? There is no relation, because alienation is a different thing. It is a part of production, and this what is happening, the coronavirus crisis, is a very different thing.
No, see, alienation, Marx is talking about part of production, but something actually happening at the level of production will happen everywhere also. If something is affected, something is happening in production, it is having impact on everywhere else also. So that we can't say it is only related to production, so you cannot explain any other things.
Sir, in alienation, the basic thing is the creativity of a man has been lost. Right?
Yes.
Then, if we will connect alienation with the present context, why we are saying that these are the things which are not.
Yes, wait, Asif. We haven't discussed about these things, so others will have confusion. But see, alienation is not only about creativity, according to Marx. Marx is specifically telling that if you may be facing alienation in different areas like education, like various social institutions, even in marriages also. But alienation at the workplace is more important, because if you are alienated at the workplace, you will be alienated elsewhere also. This is a statement given by Marx. So with that, you cannot only say that it is only creativity related alienation what Marx is talking about. Marx is talking about alienation entirely at the workplace, and if you are alienated at the workplace, you will be alienated elsewhere also. So in a way, poor people are alienated everywhere. So that thing we will discuss later when we discuss about alienation. Sunil, we can clear this doubt later.
Okay.
Yeah. So alienation we will do later, not now.
Sir?
Yeah.
Can you please explain how economic infrastructure shapes the family and religion?
See, I've told you, for example, when you talk about capitalism. So capitalism need labor. So, and capitalism is having certain, conditions like labors. You cannot give too much facility to labor, right? You cannot give too much good condition, because this is unnecessary expense. So you cannot use too much expense, because if you use too much expense for production, what will happen? More money spent will result into less productivity. Less productivity means less profit, right? So capitalism is all about enhancing profit. So you need worker to work more time so that you can ensure productivity. You need worker to work in bad condition, that will also give productivity, because the ultimate cost will come down. Cost of production is what we basically understand in terms of productivity. And you also need worker to work with less wages. So this system demand in very strict conditions against workers. This system is actually going against workers. So still, if the worker need to come for work, he should have a family. Okay, because of family only you are forced to go for work. Otherwise you will just sit in home, whatever. You may go for 1 day work, 1 week you can take off. But now because of family, there may be 5-6 members you have to feed. So you have to go for work for 6 days also. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, when we talk about religion, what the capitalist system, it is created by capitalists. What Marx says is, religion is actually acting as an opium. Religion is opiating the masses. How is it done? Because the religion says, the other world you will get heaven. You suffer maximum in this world. So when you preach that, the workers are ready to suffer maximum in this world. They are ready to get exploited by the capitalist. So religion is also an idea which is created by the capitalists to get the workers and to get them exploited in the system.
Okay, sir, understood.
Okay, same is the case with idea, same as the education. When we talk about education, the engineering colleges and everything, they're just creating mere labors which are required for capitalism. That's it.
Like British. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Like British East India Company want to educate Indians so that they got the cheap educated laborers.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is, see, what all things that we need to know is, the entire Marxian perspective. This is the entire Marxian perspective. If you need to write anything in Marxian perspective, this is the only thing that you need to know. Forces of production that we have already discussed, forces of production. Then you need to know relations of production. And then you need to know what is economic infrastructure. Okay, economic infrastructure means FOP and ROP. This is what economic infrastructure, right? And then this is enough to undertake production. But when the production becomes, at the later stage of production, when it is growing, you also need what? You also need certain other elements which will support production. Initial stage, you may not need family, you may not need religion, government, education, etc. Initial stage production will happen. But when it is, improving, when it is increasing, you need the support of these mechanisms as well. So this is what social superstructure. This is the core of the society, economic infrastructure, and this is the periphery. That means the social superstructure. This together is what society. So this is the entire Marxian perspective, this part. So once we know that, then any question you can answer in Marxian perspective. So one more thing that you need to add in every question is, between people there is always an antagonistic cooperation. Antagonist cooperation means the interests are contradictory, but still there is a cooperation. For example, when we talk about capitalist and worker, okay, so capitalist and worker, they are cooperating. This is antagonist cooperation. Why? Because their interests are contradictory. Capitalist want the worker to work more time, less wages, less or not much good working condition, as all these are unnecessary expense. But the worker need more wages, less time, better working condition. All these are contradictory, but still they are cooperating, and this cooperation is antagonist in nature. So everywhere you need to discuss these terms: FOP, okay, FOP, ROP, economic infrastructure, social superstructure, and this antagonist cooperation between them. One more concept, Marx is talking about being and social being. This we will understand more in detail when it comes to the theory of alienation. Being and social being. Okay, so being and social being means being is originally what you are originally. Like man is a creative humanism according to man. So what you originally are as a human being. Okay, social being means what you are in society. For example, what I am and what I am to you is entirely different. What I am to you is the social being. I am a teacher to you, right? So you are a student to me. Or this words, worker, okay, like the doctor, okay, engineers, okay, the IAS or the collectors or the IPS or the teachers, okay, all these are actually what you mean by this? All these are social being. So social being is your identity in the society. Okay, so social being is actually decided on the basis of the role in the production process. Your role in the production process. In this production process, what is my role? My role is this. So this is the social being. Okay, being and social being will be different, but it will be integrated in one situation, that is in communist society. In the beginning of history, it was integrated. There was no such separation. You can do whatever you want, etc. And this will again come back again in his concept of communism. We are going to discuss all these things in future, but now just have an idea. Being means what you originally are. Okay, as a creative humanism, social being is what you are in society. What is your role in society? Rather than saying society in Marxian terms, if you put your role or your position in the production process. Okay, there is a very famous statement by Marx. I will give you that statement and I'll explain that statement later when we discuss about alienation. The statement is like this: I can do one thing today, another tomorrow. Okay, I can hunt in the morning, I can fish in the afternoon, I can rear cattle in the evening and criticize after dinner. But I have a mind without being a hunter, a fisherman, a herdsman and a critic. So what the statement is saying is, I can do anything. Today one thing, tomorrow another thing. Today I can go for teaching, tomorrow I can go for hunting, day after tomorrow I can go for fishing or anything. So I can do one thing today, another tomorrow. I can hunt in the morning, fish in the afternoon, rear cattle in the evening, criticize after dinner. Anything I can do. I have a mind without being a hunter, a fisherman, or a herdsman, or a critique? What do you mean by this hunter? This is a social being. Fisherman, social being. Herdsman, social being. Critique, social being. So I will not be branded as any of this. I can do anything. This will happen in communism. This is the concept of total man. Okay, so you don't want to think about these things too much, these statements and all. Every statements related to Marx I will give you, and all these statements are easy and all these are value addition. I'll tell you where to write and what to write also. Okay, so we have done with the introduction of Marx. I'll go through the PDF if you don't have any doubts.
So I want to know which religion treats that if you suffer in this world, you will go into heaven in another.
That?
So which religion treats this?
No, generally every religion is actually acting as, you follow the path of, tolerance, you follow the path of, forgiveness. Every religion talk about the same. So that is what in a way Marx is saying, like religion is acting as opium of masses. Okay. Every religion is promoting these things only, no tolerance. No religion is talking about revolution. Which religion is talking about revolution? Tolerance. Tolerance is, yeah.
Sir, even after reading the theory of communism now, I feel this is itself a religion. They are condemning religion, but communism is itself a religion. If you they have an ideology of having no ideology.
I'm not able to hear you, Himanshu. Only from your side I cannot listen. I cannot hear your noise, but every others is fine.
You said, sir, can you hear it now?
Yes, yes.
I felt communism is itself a religion. They have an ideology of having no ideology.
Yeah, in being there is an influence by social being. We will discuss that because my mindset is automatically, decided on the basis of the position that I'm in the production process. Okay, so being will always have an influence of social being. Yeah, this communism in itself is actually a religion. It will act as a religion. We will discuss that. Actually, at the stage of communism, Marx says there won't be any religion, there won't be any class, there won't be any stateless, classless society, etc. So that we will discuss in communism.
Sir, will we discuss mode of production in details in the further classes?
Yeah, mode of production is not started. Mode of production I'll do tomorrow.
Because I have some confusion in the mode of production. So when you will discuss in details,
tomorrow I will discuss complete mode of production. Tomorrow's session is for mode of production. Today I am doing this basic ideas of Karl Marx. So if you get a question on Marx idea about society and change, you can actually attempt this question after the session. Marx idea about society and individual, not change, society and individual. So this question is what we have attempted now. Marx idea about society is what we have discussed in terms of production. So you need to talk about production, you need to talk about FOP, you need to talk about ROP, you will talk about economic infrastructure, you will talk about social superstructure, then you will talk about social formation, you will also talk about being and social being. That is the idea about individual. So this answer is done with this discussion. Mode of production we will do tomorrow.
How to frame introduction for this question, sir?
Introduction you will get from here. In order to say, you can see here, we will discuss. And this discussion is going to be your introduction for all other Marxian questions. Any theories which is there in the syllabus, whether it is mode of production, you need to write introduction from here. Class struggle, you need to write introduction from here. Alienation, you need to write introduction from here. So that is why we are stressing too much on this. All these things, FOP, ROP, economic infrastructure, superstructure, being, social being, will come in all the theories. Across the theories, this has to be used in a judicious way, in a better way, so that you can fetch good marks in Marx. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Marx says, in order to survive, man must produce. Yeah. According to Marx, production of material life is the first historical act in the history of human civilization. It is also a starting point of the history or the society. Production is essential for the survival of human beings. It is a fundamental condition of society, as this act is never ending and follows an evolutionary path. Underlying this necessity of production, Marx also holds some specific assumption about individual. For him, human beings generate needs. Man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. When the basic needs are met, he creates new needs. Okay, that means production keeps on increasing, because when the basic needs are met, like the clothing, the shelter, the food, etc., you create new needs. You now look for luxury. Okay, then you go for beyond that also. But that is not the case with animals. If you talk about a dog, if dog is getting the basic food, then he don't and shelter, then there is no other needs. But human beings' case is not like that. Keeps on generating new needs. This initiates the beginning of constant struggle between man and nature. This struggle is reflected in terms of continuous development in the nature of production or in the way man produces things. Okay, so you can see here there is always a continuous development in the nature of production or the way man produces things. The way things are produced before and the way things are produced now is entirely different. For example, even the class itself, the way you have attended the class before and the way you are attending now is entirely different. Okay, so man is capable of overcoming all the restrictions which is imposed by nature. So this corona, if you talk about, this is a restriction which is imposed by nature. You cannot move around, you cannot attend a class, but still, man is overcoming all these things. Okay, so in order to produce, man must enter into relation with others. Man must organize for undertaking production. According to Marx, the organization of production varies from era to era and society to society. That means different society you can see different types of organization. For example, we will talk about primitive communism, ancient mode of production, feudal mode of production, different relations we will see. Okay, in feudal and capitalism it is different, in ancient and feudal it is different. So society to society and with time also this relation varies. Okay, now nature always imposes limitations on the organization of production. So there will be always limitations from nature in the organization of production, but it does not completely determine it. Nature is not completely determining it. Man has the capability to control the nature. Okay, you got the point? Now for example, this corona, man has the capability to control the nature. So thus the relations are essential for the production to take place. Further, man also requires tools, techniques, equipments, etc. for the production to take place. So tools and techniques required. So that's what Marx terms as relations of production. Okay, so first case, relations of production. Second case, forces of production. This tools and techniques is forces of production. This one. So enter into relation with others, relations of production, tools, techniques, forces of production. So in forces of production, man will also come, right? Because labor force is also included in forces of production. Relations of production, according to Marx, there are two types of relations of production: relation between man and relation between man and things. Now, relation between man and man include relationship between people engaged in the production process. For example, in modern factory, the positions like manager, supervisor, the worker are the examples of man and man relation. All right. Relation between man and things. On the other hand, the relation between man and things are based on the ownership and non-ownership of things related to the production process. For example, a capitalist owns the factory. This is a relation of ownership between man and thing. Worker does not own anything, so it is a non-ownership. According to Marx, production has to be managed, and the different relations of production symbolize different forms of management. That means this worker, capitalist, okay, the clerks, all these are different forms of management. The relationship between the people in the existing societies are conceptualized as one of antagonistic cooperation. So I hope you understood this word. The cooperation exists in society despite the fact that there are differences between the groups. For example, owners, the capitalist interest is different, the workers' interests are different. You can read this. So that is what antagonist cooperation. Now, forces of production involves two things: man, that is a living part, and then labor force. Okay, so labor force also is there. Don't be confused with this part. Okay, don't think that this is a relation of production. Labor force also is part of the forces. And then things, that is a non-living part. Now, man include the human beings whose efforts results in production. So that is why they have added under forces of production. This include the labor as well as entrepreneur. Both are working, right? So in economic terms, if you put it, you can see the income is generated through land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, right? So the labor is provided by the labor force and entrepreneur is also coming, right? So here you are getting wages for their work, entrepreneur getting profit for the work. So things include various means of production like tools, techniques, etc. The development of these factors of production represents man's control over nature. These forces of production are used to transform nature into use value or exchange value. Okay, now what do you mean by this? Nature, let's take example of a soil like this. This is some soil. Okay, from this land there are you're taking soil. So there is no value for the soil. What you will do is you will convert this. So this is nature, okay, soil, and you will convert this nature to, you know, brick. Now this is having a exchange value. You can exchange this and you will get money, or it is having a use and you can use also. So that is what written here. So this forces of production, and to convert this nature into, you know, exchange value, what is required? You need workers, or the forces of production is required, right? You need people to do that. That means you need not only the things will do that, you need also people to do that. That's why these two are forces of production. So the effort of forces of production will result into conversion of nature into exchange value. So the soil is converted to brick. Now this soil have no value, but brick is having, you know, exchange value or use value. Either you can use it. Use value means the product is of use to man. Exchange value means it can be sold for money. Are you able to understand this paragraph? Are we okay?
So can you repeat it?
What I'm saying is, these forces of production are used for what purpose? To transform the nature, whatever is available in the nature, into use value or exchange value. I have given the example of, let's say, soil. No value. This is nature, directly given. Then you convert this by using FOP, forces of production, to brick or bricks. Okay, so this can be used for construction of house, or many values are there, right? It can be sold. Since it can be sold, you can say that, you know, it is having a exchange value. Since it can be having some use, that is what use value. So with the help of forces of production, you can convert nature into use value or exchange value. Or another example, there is a tree. Okay, this is part of nature. This tree have no value, so you cut the tree, use FOP, forces of production, which involve man, that means the worker, and the tools, techniques, etc. If you need to cut the tree, you need tools, techniques, also man, right? This is what FOP. Then you make a table. Okay, this table now you can either sell, so this is having a use value or exchange value, or you can use it, so it is having a use value. Not only you can use it, any person who is buying it can use it. That's why buying. So exchange value means automatically use value is there. Otherwise, exchange value will not be there. If there is some use value, then only you can exchange it. It could be used, right? So tree you converted, this nature you converted to table. That is what discussed here. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So according to Marx, there is a close.
Sir, is there use value and exchange value? Because if there is no use value, then there is exchange value.
No use, but still exchange value. For what? Can you give me an example? Yeah, if there is no use, can there be any exchange value? Can you give an example? If there is use, then only people will buy, then only there is exchange value, no?
Hello.
Yeah. I'm not able to hear you. Okay, I'm continuing, Himanshu. Okay, according to Marx, there is a close relation between forces of production and relation of production. The relations of production changes with the forces of production and vice versa. This is what I have explained before. Okay, so FOP change, there will be a change in relation of production and vice versa also. There is a constant interplay between these two. According to Marx, as the production acquires a complex form, it is made possible not only because of particular relations and forces. That means ROP and FOP is not alone will do at what stage? If the production acquires a complex form. But because capitalism is a very complex form, so there are many other elements also required to help the system. So it is a complex operation of so many other factors present in society. Thus, the influence of production is not only limited to producing things only, it is also creating other conditions in society which makes the production possible. According to Marx, a complex interplay between FOP and ROP result into a particular social formation, that is society, which owes its existence to the production process and still it is distinct. So this is what I mean to say, ROP and FOP, okay, the complete complex interplay between these two will result into a social formation. The other things, so this is what the society. So this is what his idea of society. This is what, the systemic view of Marx. So this can be a question. What is systemic view of Marx? This is a systemic view of Marx. A better diagram is given here. For him, society can be conceptualized as a system constituting or consisting of economic infrastructure and social superstructure. So this is the system. This diagram is given by Fletcher from Marxian understanding only. So you can see here economic infrastructure. Here you can write ROP and FOP also. So economic infrastructure, and these are social superstructure. What you can do is here one more small modification. You can put some arrows like this. Okay. So not only these four, there are many other elements. Everything is actually part of superstructure. So this is what systemic view of Marxian idea of society. So Marx uses different terms for society in different context or in different text. The term social formation, mode of production, etc. can be broadly understood as society. As the economic infrastructure change, the superstructure also change. Economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. Thus, the total organization of society, according to Marx, is based on nature of production. Okay, so this will explain that economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning of, superstructure. You can add elements like religion, family, okay, everything, education, culture, values, okay, ideas, etc. Apart from developing a linkage between production and society, Marx also examines the influence of production on individual consciousness. Practically, individual consciousness falls within the domain of superstructure. Okay, so here, individual consciousness, I have told you, ideas, values, etc. This will come here. So the consciousness of an individual is influenced by a person's position in the production process. To further clarify the idea of consciousness, Marx distinguishes between being and social being. Being is the basic nature of man, independent of his existence. According to Marx, this being is perpetually dissatisfied. Further, Marx's conception of being as a creative is in terms of creative humanism. That is, creativity is essential for his nature. Social being refers to the existence of individual in society. The social being is one's place in the production process and is defined by the nature of activity performed by an individual. For example, the term worker, manager, etc. denotes social being. Thus, according to Marx, individual consciousness in society is determined by one's social being rather than being. Okay, now you can attempt this question. Marx concept about individual and society. So here what you need to write, society, it is very easy. Individual you need to talk about, being and social being. Society you will talk about production you will discuss. In order to survive, man must produce, and then you will start with it. You will talk about man have to enter into relations, talk about ROP, 2 cases. Also need tools and techniques, FOP, 2 cases, and then this 2 together. Okay, economic infrastructure, you can show the diagram, ROP and FOP. Okay, and when the production acquires complex form, it is also made possible due to so many other factors. So this together, social formation. Okay, and you can also show the systemic view given by Fletcher. Okay, now apart from that, you can also talk about ROP change lead to FOP change or vice versa. Okay, FOP changes, ROP will change, and vice versa. So I'm expecting that this area is done. Any problem? This is a basic understanding of Marx. Once we are strong in this, Marx is going to be very easy for you.
Sir, please.
For this question, do we have to establish any relation between the individual and the society?
No.
Or we have to explain individual separately and then the society separately?
No, individual and society relation is required. I have mentioned it here. You can see here. Here I have somewhere here I have explained practically individual consciousness fall in here it is there. The consciousness of an individual is influenced by the person's position in the production process. So that relation is already established here. This we will discuss more in detail in the coming session, alienation and all. That relation I have explained already here.
In terms of being and social being?
Yeah, in terms of being and social being only. And in terms of society, this is in society only. And here
so
also.
This line is not very much clear to me. Is according to Marx, this being is perpetually dissatisfied. Further, Marx's conception of being is in terms of creative humanism. That is, creativity is essential for
man is creative humanism. Man is perpetually dissatisfied according to Marx. The being, because social being means we are okay. I am doing this teaching. I will be okay. But as a being, I am so much creative. I want to teach. I want to go for something else. I want to go for X, Y, Z activities. So I can do anything as a being. So that is what I mean by perpetually dissatisfied. But as a being, I am confined to this particular occupation. I am pre-programmed.
So creativity, humanism is a part of being, not the social being.
Creativity is part of being, not social being. In social being, there is no creativity. Here, see, I am mechanically teaching. There is no creativity. Right? I don't know actually which. Now I got exhausted and I don't know which batch I am talking about. So that is what the case of social being. Only
Marx everywhere.
Yeah, batch, and only because of ASIF only I am able to realize that this is batch 5. Otherwise I am just speaking. I don't know. The 3 batches are over. So from 3 o'clock I started. So only Asif was actually reminding me that this is the 5th batch. Yeah. And the same thing. There is no change. Same thing. Same content. Conclusion, you can talk about social direct. There is no need of separate conclusion here. This will be a 10 marker. Idea about society and change will be a 10 marker. You can conclude the same statements like this, the way we have written. This we can conclude.
So maybe in the conclusion we can, explain the relevance of this, the whole concept, like
yes.
Marx concept is still relevance in the modern society because we have private sector, we have
that things I will discuss. These things what to conclude and everything. I will give you the conclusion actually. Towards the end of the session, I will give you relevance, conclusion, everything, common conclusion I will give you for every questions.
Okay, sir.
So that I kept for towards the end. So that is a critical analysis part. We will discuss there. Okay. So can we stop now?
Sir, tomorrow there is a class or not? Because
No class tomorrow. Monday.
Monday.
Yeah,
Okay.
Monday we will start.
Sir, we will be able to complete within 2.5 months.
We will complete 2.5 months. That's enough. Because only thinkers, up to thinkers, I'll go very slow. Then after that, we will take off.
But sir, Marx is a very smart guy. Even today also, we have irrelevant concepts.
Even today also?
We are following the same concepts of economic infrastructure, social infrastructure, everything.
So that is a Marxian idea. You have to study that.
No, sir. Even in today's society, is more relevant to his ideas only.
Yes. We will say, yeah. I will discuss that also.
Just trying to say he was very intelligent.
Understood. So towards the end, you will see more relevance that we are going to say. So that is why it is said that you may love Marx, you may hate Marx, but you cannot ignore Marx. Right? Because
We can
Marx
be neutral, sir. We can be neutral, like he's not that bad. Okay, easy concepts.
You don't want to remain neutral also, you can start loving Marx. In fact, once we complete the discussion, you will start loving Marx. And there is no problem. Most of the sociologists belongs to, they like Marx.
Sir,
Yeah, I feel like easy to understand. It's like not that difficult.
It is easy, very easy. And thinkers, you will not face any problem. None of the thinkers you will face any problem. Some people somewhere is telling that thinkers is difficult, but I don't know why people are saying so. You will feel it. All the thinkers are easy, not only Marx. Everything will be easy.
Sir, suppose there is a situation, okay. After reading Marx, we are so much influenced with the Marx, ideology, okay. And in the interview, we are taking the favor of Marx that this could have some effect on the marking pattern because.
Yeah, I don't think that if you are professional, you will be getting influenced with so much. I don't think you need to be having you need to be professional, no? So you are studying for Marx, nothing else.
No, because if I am supporting the ideology, because this ideology is very much common in today's context also, okay, that
no, but you can remain neutral. Why you should support and all? What is the advantage that you're going to get by supporting and all? You just know, study that, write that, get the mark, get out of it. It's over. That is the idea.
If there is a question, what do you think about Marx? So, what we can say, if I am very much influenced by the ideology of the Marx, I will support. I will say that Marx ideology is still relevant. Marx was, the theories are not very practical. Okay, theories are not very practical, but still relevant. Okay, so what is the problem in supporting the idea?
No problem in supporting the idea. You can say Marx is relevant till the time poverty and exploitation is there. Exploitation of man by man is there. So you can use some good words and you can always say Marxian relevance. There is no problem in telling Marxian relevance, but Marxian solutions will create the problem. For example, I tell you, when we discuss about this paper, the way you write the answer, you have to see from the perspective of the examiner, and you need to be in a position to write like that. No, even Gandhi also you have to market Gandhi. Your voice is not clear.
Am I audible now?
No. You are not audible. I'm not able to hear properly. You are saying something. You can type also, Himanshu. That will be better. Okay. So there are a lot of good sites from Marx. You can market it. Okay. And then like Gandhi also, you need to market Gandhi like anything. You will get good marks if you can market Gandhi well in your papers. So that sites is what you need to see. Objectively.
Like his ideology.
Whose ideology?
Gandhi's
ideology.
Gandhi's ideology. But even though you are against Gandhi, but you can use him.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what, like the in paper the answer must be neutral or else in a positive way, not in negative way thing.
Yes, yes.
Sir, Himanshu is asking something. But the question is how to get Gandhi perspective. I think by watching Munna Bhai MBBS or the Munna Bhai.
Gandhi's perspective for what?
He's asking how to get Gandhi perspective by watching the Munna Bhai or what? Because
His ideologies.
yes,
Gandhi's perspective you should be knowing, no? We will be discussing that. No, not in sociology. Sociology is not required Gandhian perspective, but we will discuss about when we discuss about caste system. We will have a topic the different perspective of studying caste. There we will see Gandhi's ideas and Ambedkar ideas. So you will get a clue. Apart from that, in ethics also we'll discuss Gandhi's ideas actually related to something called as deontological thought. So all those things has to be covered either in history or in ethics, but not in sociology. Nobody required Gandhi in sociology, and you don't want to write also this name. Only in essay and in GS paper you need ethics also. Ethics you need a lot. Yeah. Anything else?
No, sir.
Ethics, one batch is there already, but I will start next. I think August I will start one. That is for 2021 people. For you people, once you complete the prelims, I will do it a quick crash batch, or I'll give you the online classes. 2021 people, because time there is a problem. I have now currently 4 batches are running for sociology. So. And ethics I'm taking only 2 days now, so that's why it's taking time. And once that is over, I will upload the videos. And also I'll start one ethics batch after August, maybe August 15. One sociology batch will get over by 15 so that I can start ethics.
So
yeah.
So one small doubt, sir. To write UPSC, is it like that 1st of August, by 1st of August, you need to be 21 of year? Or else, like at the time of writing means you need to be 21 years.
You are not 21 yet?
No.
Oh. I think by August you need to be 21. That is the deadline.
So like at the time, see it is Corona time now, so I feel like the exams are postponed. So the 2021 exams, the means might be in October or November or December. So can I write prelims when I am 20 only and I'll be completing my 21 at the time of writing means?
No, you don't want to write also immediately. Like you can take time and write. After 21 you write. Himanshu, if you clear prelims, will there be some assistance? You're asking. You will get complete assistance. Don't worry about that. Only thing is that you clear prelims.
Sir,
clear prelims are complete. Huh?
The paid or unpaid?
Unpaid. Don't worry. No need of payment or anything.
Okay. Complimentary.
Yeah. Socio, Vinith, my socio was first time 2012. I had 300 plus 304, and then 307, and then 267 or 267. 267, what happened is one paper, I think 160 was there, but 150 something, exact division I don't know, but 150 plus in the paper 1. Paper 2 around 170, something like that. It is because in case of MN Srinivas, I have written everywhere Durkheim. Somehow Durkheim came to my mind because these two are actually same. The MN Srinivas is actually the Indian version of Durkheim. So some 20 markers I have written like that, and that is actually what happened in this very drastic reduction. Yeah. So sociology is very easy. You can score mark, no problem. Okay, can we stop?
Yes, sir.
Sir, every weekend there is no class?
Yeah, we can. This weekend we don't have class. If there is a class, I'll let you know.
Okay.
If we face any problem in completing the syllabus, we can have, but we will not face any problem. Once we're done with thinkers, then everything is, we will go so fast. One day, one chapter like that will complete.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye.